Hey, what's up, Castle Clash Janglers? Today we're going to talk about blowing things up. That's right, Santa Boom. So this is a strategy I like to use a lot. It's super fun, and it's really just using Santa Boom to blow up bases and get victories where you usually wouldn't be able to do it. So let's go over the goals of this strategy. I call this Santa Boom's Guide to Destruction. Alright, so as I said, you're trying to get bases that normally you couldn't because the heroes are too strong. And where you're going to run across this a lot is in Guild Wars and also Expeditions. You can also use this in raids, but it's not as helpful because this strategy relies a lot on backing out and coming on in. Because Santa Boom, his proc is so random, it can go anywhere on the screen, so sometimes it takes a couple of tries to get those rockets going where you want them. In raids, and I'll talk about this later, you can kind of use the same strategy with Dread Drake. It's a little bit more reliable when you can't back out. It's less based on luck because he does go straight for the heroes most of the time. Okay, so let's first bring up Santa Boom. We're going to look at his skill really quick. Okay, so Fireworks Bazooka, you can see here I have it at level 7. That's really what you want to try to get it to. Because, well, let's go over his skill. So at level 7, he deals 430% attack and reduces the movement and attack speed near 2 targets for 4 seconds. At level 1, he only does 100% attack. So it's not that much, and basically level 1 to level 6, every time you upgrade the skill, it's gonna upgrade the attack by 50%, and that's the only stat we care about here. We don't really care about the movement speed or how many targets he can affect. We kind of do, but mostly it's the damage that we're interested in. And so from 6 to 7, instead of jumping by 50, it's going to jump by 80%. Same thing with 7 to 8, and then from 8 to 9 and 9 to 10, it jumps by 90%. So once you get to 7, you start to see bigger increases in damage. And 7 is not that hard to achieve. I had 7 on some of my heroes before I was in my guild. You just got to save up for it. In terms of talents, the best talent, pretty much hands down for this strategy, is War God, because it's increasing his attack, and all we care about is attack. In this strategy, Santa is not going to need a lot of health. He's not going to come into any contact with the other heroes. That's kind of something we're going to try to avoid. So War God is by far the best. If you have Bulwark, that's cool too. A lot of people have Bulwark on Santa. That gives some attack, and then you can just put War God for a crest set. So definitely, if War God is not your talent, if it's not your talent, you definitely want to put it on your crest set. If you do have War God on as a talent, then a great crest set, obviously Bulwark, more damage, and those are the two best talents and skills to have in whatever combination you have them in. Other ones that could be useful, Revitalize, because you will be coming in and out of the battle a lot, so it will save you a little bit of time if you can get Santa to proc faster. But also we can bring Cupid in and help him out with that, but we'll talk about that later. And other than those 3, I don't really see any benefit for the other talents for this particular strategy. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of bases we're going to look at. So we're just kind of going to go over the strategy, and then we're going to get into some examples. So the bases we want the heroes grouped together. We want them all together, so when Santa's rocket hits a hero, it's going to hit all of the heroes. Preferably we want a nice core where there's heroes, towers, so he can just hit all that and knock it out. Good bases would be here be monster bases, the side and corner bases, where they have all the heroes together, all the towers around them in that core of the base, because if a rocket goes in there, it's going to hit everything that can potentially hurt Santa later. So those bases are really perfect. And hopefully we can find some of those bases, because after the update, I'm seeing a lot of people save their Guild Wars bases, which really sometimes aren't the best. Because in the Here Be Monster bases, you have that core group together, and then on the other end of the map, usually you have all the buildings just in a straight line, and that's what we want. We want a path where Santa can just walk along and proc and proc and proc and shoot to the other side of the screen. Bases you want to avoid with this strategy, you want to avoid bases where the heroes are spread out, like especially when they're just spread out in groups of 2, because we don't want Santa to have to fight. We want him to have a clear path with no danger. Also, the center bases that have the rest of the building spread out into the 4 different corners, generally you want to avoid those, because it's just not enough for Santa to get his procs off and hit that center. It's just very unlikely that you'll be able to do anything there. Oh, and another important thing you want to avoid is auto proc heroes. Your number 1 enemy is Dread Drake. That guy will tear you up. So generally, if they have Dread Drake, even if the base setup is perfect, it still might not be a good base, because he's gonna proc when you hit him, and your goal is to really be hitting the heroes every time. So yeah, Dread Drake's a problem. Warlock can also be a problem if he is like evolved and your Santa is not evolved. Like my Santa's not evolved, so when I see an evolved Warlock, I'm pretty cautious about it. Double evolved Warlock, you know, that's probably not going to happen, because his proc is pretty strong. Sometimes though, if he's not evolved, or maybe if your Santa's evolved and he's evolved, you'll be able to take him out before he can do too much damage to Santa. Harpy Queen, she can hurt you too, but generally you'll be able to take her out pretty quick. Dread Drake's the real problem though, because he has his shield, and yeah, he's tough. Okay, so once you find that suitable base, what you're gonna do is you're gonna drop Santa along a path that has the longest potential. What I mean by that is he's gonna have the most chances to proc by following this path of outside buildings. Sometimes Santa's gonna blow up his own path, and you're gonna have to go back out and start again. But that happens, right? This strategy is kind of based on a little bit of luck. Preferably, the path is gonna start close to the core of the base, where all their heroes are, and move away from it. Not always going to be the case, but most of the time that's what you're going to want to do, because what it does is when he ends furthest away from the center, if there's anything left in the middle, it gives you time to drop your other heroes in and clean it up before Santa gets too close, because Santa's pretty squishy, and especially for expeditions, you don't want to lose anybody. So that's the reason for that. Sometimes it makes more sense to start him where he's furthest away and he gets closer. Sometimes when they have the buildings close to the edge, because you don't want him to get hit by the towers at the beginning, but maybe squeeze out an extra proc at the end. Him getting hit by the towers won't be such a big deal. And then in Guild Wars 2, it matters even less. You can lose Santa. It's no big deal, because you can just revive him for the next base, the next attempt. All right. And for expeditions, kind of out of luck. But again, expeditions is pretty easy to get the 50%, and the loss really isn't a big deal. You're gonna lose like 10 honor badges, so just back out if you're in a. I'm sorry, expedition. I meant raids. If you're in a raid, you get the 50% or you don't. Just back out. Don't lose Santa. Don't waste 10 gems reviving him. Just take the loss. If you are in Guild Wars or Here Be Monsters, in Guild Wars or Expeditions, if the first 2 procs don't go your way, just back out and try again. If your first proc destroys your path, back out and try again. Always back out and try again if things aren't going your way, especially early on. The earlier on things start going bad, you just want to back out and try again. By the time you get your 3rd or 4th proc off, everything in the core you want to pretty much be destroyed or on its way out. And you also want to just pay attention to the percentage, right? Because by the 3rd or 4th one, you're going to be getting close to 50%. And if you think that next shot is going to bring you into 50% and you're not sure if you're going to be able to take those heroes down or that base down in Guild Wars or Expeditions, back out. Just try again. Even if you're close, it's better to just be patient. You can risk it if you want, but, you know, basically, if you wait long enough and you're patient enough, you're going to get the shots you want, and you're going to destroy that base and not have a problem. So, patience is a virtue, definitely in this situation. Okay, so a couple of tips before we get into this. As I've said this already a million times, don't be afraid to back out. That's like the most important part of this strategy, is being able to back out and try again. Alright, so that's why I recommend this more for Guild Wars and Expeditions, because you can back out, try again as many times as you want. If you're patient enough, like I said, Santa is going to hit exactly where you want every single time he procs. You just got to be patient. And usually, before you get close to 50%, around 40%, 3 or 4 procs go off, you're going to know. You're going to know whether you're going to be able to take that base down with the rest of your team. Or if you're going to need to back out and just try again. Sometimes you can use Cupid to your advantage. Like if there are 2 paths that go along each side of the base, you'll see like they got the core in the middle and they got their 2 paths coming out. You can drop Santa on one side, Cupid on the other side, and Cupid's basically going to act like a fuel tank for Santa. He's going to fill up his proc. He's going to be able to get more procs in, which is important because he's getting more procs in and he's taking less shots, which means he's going to have more time to work down his path. And gives him more time before he gets to the center of the base with those heroes. Which we do not want him to get there. We don't want him to get there. We want him to do all the damage and destroy everything before he gets there. Okay, so let's get into it. Also, when you do that Cupid strategy, you got to be careful that Santa doesn't blow up all Cupid's buildings, because then Cupid's going to head straight to the middle, and that's going to be the end of Cupid. Alright, so I tried to save up, find a good expedition. I actually did not. That's what makes me concerned if we're going to find enough bases to try this out on. Because of the update, a lot of people had to choose one base to keep. I think a lot of them chose their Guild Wars base. But we do have a base we can look at here. And then we have Guild Wars today, so we're going to go into Guild Wars and we're going to look at the Guild Wars. We're going to do a little scouting and talk about what bases would be good and which would not be good for this strategy. Okay, so let's get our heroes here. Alright. Okay, so this is obviously a Here Be Monsters side base. Okay, I'm looking at the heroes. Don't see a Dread Drake, don't see a Warlock. Nobody that's going to hit me from far away, so that's good. Zoom out. Okay, so we got we got one long path at the end over here. And then we have 2 little ones on the side. So I'm not going to start on the side. which would be the closest to the heroes, because once he's done with that side, he's going to go straight to the middle. You got to think about how he's going to path. But if I drop him on this top part, he's going to go along the side and he's going to finish, and then he's going to drop down and he's going to continue along those gold mines before going to the center of the base. So, and these heroes, he got 3 evolved heroes. None of my heroes are evolved at this point, mind you. So, and he's got a Skull Knight Ares. So that's a pretty tough team right in there. Alright, so I'm going to back out and come back in so we can get the full amount of time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop him right on these two storages right here that are out in the open. So he's going to shoot those. Then hopefully he'll come around to these army camps. Then he's going to follow this path up here. When he finishes, he's going to drop down and come along here. So that should give him the most amount of procs. Hopefully. That's what we're hoping for. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's see where this first proc is going to go. Okay, so he kind of blew up his own path. Didn't really hit the heroes at all. So that was not a good first proc. So we're going to start again. I did like where he was going, though, along that path. So in the beginning, this strategy really is not that exciting. But once you start getting closer to that 50% mark, it can get a little tense. Okay, again, not a good proc. Sometimes this guy drives me crazy. Seems like he just won't hit where you want him to. But other times he does a great job. Just randomness. Wish he would have gone the other way, but okay, there you go. See, now he's pretty much taken out almost everything. So if I just get, yeah, see this, even though he blew up some of his path, it's alright. There's only one building in there. Can you get it? He got it. Alright, so that was one of the tactics, right? I don't even care if he has heroes. So what? Nobody's going in there to meet him. That was a great example. Alright, so Santa just doing his thing, man. So you see, we had to back out, come back in a few times. When that first proc doesn't go your way, that's alright. Just back out and try again. Nothing to lose. Everything to gain, right? And then on this one, we got like 2-3 nice procs in a row. It was great. Alright, so now he's going there, so I want to be careful. Make sure that I don't lose anybody. Okay, so we're looking good. Alright, great. So that's exactly what you want to do. Once you can see towards the end, after there's not too many buildings, you want to kind of make sure you destroy all the last buildings at the same time, so nobody has to walk through that center. Sometimes it's not a problem, but sometimes when you have a building at either end, when one hero finishes on one side, he's going to want to move straight through the middle, because he's going to take the quickest route he can. And in the middle, you're either going to find something nasty like that Skull Knight. You're also probably going to find bombs, so you got to be careful of that. Usually, if there's no heroes in the core, I'll drop like Vlad and Molt flying heroes along the top of this kind of base anyway. I'll drop them along the top so they can come in and clear out any remaining towers or buildings without having to go through the front door, which usually is covered in bombs, and you're going to risk losing somebody. Alright, let's see what this base is. See if we can use it. If not, we're going to jump into Guild Wars. Alright, so this base is kind of iffy. It is a corner base here, be monsters, but it has all the buildings kind of spread out into their separate corners. Now, I think we're just going to go ahead and try it to see, because this is one of those things where it's really going to be dependent. Actually, you know what, let me take a look at the heroes. Okay, nobody that's going to hurt us. So what I'm thinking, and you always want to really think about the path that Santa's going to take. In any game mode, really, or whatever you're doing, whatever strategy you're using, you want to pay attention to your hero's pathing, where they're going to go, because you can predict it. So I'm thinking if I drop Santa over here in this little cluster, drop him right down here by this mana storage, okay, he's going to work his way up towards that warehouse. Then he's going to hop over to these two storages, hit these army camps. When he's done with that, he's going to drop down here. He's going to hit all these storages. Okay, come to this clan castle. And then by then, this should be gone. And the only thing that's really standing in his way right here is that he's probably going to destroy his own path a couple of times. And that, like, if he's down here and if he's just starting out and he knocks out these two storages right here, he's probably not going to get to these army camps, and he's going to go straight to the core, the center, and then that's going to be that. Also, these army camps don't have a lot of health, so if he gets a direct hit or two in there go the army camps. When he's done with the storages, he's probably going to head to this castle. Maybe take out this cluster. Probably not. I think the tower in there is closer, so he's probably just going to head to the core. Again, that won't be enough. So he really is going to have to not destroy his own path if we're going to do this. So let's go ahead and try it. Alright, here we go. So this is one of those ones where, well, I guess I'm starting near the base and ending near the base, so maybe not the best description, but yeah, this is definitely a really long path, but it's a fragile path. So we're going to have to pay close attention to where these procs go. That is not what we want. That is not what we want. That's alright, we can try again. Alright, let's see. Where's this going? Alright, that's cool. I'll take that. Really, I want him to be able to get to the army camps. Oh, nice. Nice. I want him to be able to get to the army camps, and then I'll be pretty sure that he's gonna do all right. Whew. Sometimes he just works with you. Look at that. So we're already committed. But also something to consider is this is round 10 on the expedition, so don't care too much about losing anybody. Looks like, man, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. So if he gets one, if he can kill that gold storage, we'll be set. I still think we'll be okay either way. Ooh. Alright, where are you going, Santa? That's what I'm talking about. Alright, all by himself. Another great one. And notice it took him that whole path. So, wow, we got some really lucky shots off in the beginning. And he followed that whole path just like we predicted. So when you're able to look at the base, look at the buildings, look how they're laid out, and just really think about where he's gonna go, because that's such an important part of this strategy. And like I said, just in general, to be able to know where your heroes are gonna go. All right, that was awesome. Excuse me. Allergies. All right. So those were actually two great examples. I wasn't expecting to get those so quick. Sometimes you have to struggle. So let's go ahead and look into Guild Wars, because I do want to look at some bases that are not good for this strategy. Some red flags to catch. Right. Because those were actually two really good bases to at least attempt it on. The first one for sure. The second one was kind of iffy. But it was one of those bases where you kind of know you can do it. You're just going to have the patience to wait for those right procs. Play to pay, pay to play. Wow, with the might too. Alright, let's take a look at some of these bases. Because this is also where Santa can really shine, because a lot of times, especially in Guild Wars, you don't even want to get close to those heroes. You know, they're just way ahead of you sometimes. Like, what is this? I don't even know what's going on here. Yeah, see, I see an evolved Dread Drake, so red flag. It's just not, there's no way. Because he's gonna, see, this would have been a good base to do too. Over here, I love it when they got their storages, because storages have so much hit points, gives Santa more chances to proc. And then over here would be Cupid's little playground. Toss Cupid over there, let him buff Santa. And if that Dread Drake weren't there, I would definitely attempt this. But he's there. So let me just show you what happens. Come on, Santa. Who's in there double evolved? Oh, double evolved Skull Knight. Come on, hit him. He doesn't want to do it. Let him get one more proc off. There you go. Oh, there's a Harpy Queen in there too, yeah. So that's why you gotta watch out for auto proc heroes. He's gonna hit him, and that's bye-bye Santa. Alright, let's take a look at another base. What do we got here? We got Warlock and a Dread Drake. Double evolved. Yeah. Not gonna happen. Again, same type of base. Don't know why these guys have Here Be Monster bases out, but whatever. I can't really touch them. Okay, so this is an example of base with the heroes spread out. There's nowhere that Santa would be able to come in here, even if these guys weren't all double evolved and there wasn't a Dread Drake and a Harpy Queen and a Warlock. There's no way that Santa is gonna be able to have enough time to do his thing without facing these heroes, because they're just gonna destroy him. Wow. And this is a tough guild right here. Okay, again, spread out heroes. Not the strategy to use on this base. In Guild Wars, this strategy is sort of when you see the opportunity to use it, it's a great time to use it. But a lot of times you're not going to have that opportunity because people are going to have their Guild Wars bases up, which doesn't really suit this method, right? This is sort of taking advantage of people who leave their Here Be Monsters bases out or have bad Guild Wars bases. But, you know, when they do, you'll be ready to stomp them. Expeditions, you get a lot more bases where it doesn't matter. There's not so many Guild Wars bases, especially if it's not on a Guild Wars day, like today. This type of base, it has that ring of buildings, and it doesn't really work too well. Again, the heroes are split up, kind of. So if he does manage to go around that ring and not break it, which is unlikely, then the heroes are probably going to grab him at some point when he gets too close. Okay, we'll take a look at a couple more. Okay, again, same thing with the ring of buildings. This one has everything grouped together, but the buildings are too spaced out to make a path. So there's no clear path for him to follow. It's not a good base for this strategy. Okay, one more, and then we're probably going to just go ahead and end this because we had two great examples of bases that worked at the beginning. And then I just kind of really wanted to go into here to show you bases that do not work, which P2P has given us plenty of those to look at. Okay, so this base could work. This is one of those ones I was talking about where they have the buildings along two different sides. So you could drop Cupid on one side, Santa on the other side, and it'll kind of double his amounts to hit. So even though he only has half the buildings available to him, he's gonna hit just as many times. And you know what? Let's go ahead and try this. Why not? I don't see any auto proc heroes. Nobody's gonna hurt us. So let's back out, come back in just to get the full time. Alright, so I'm gonna start on the side that has the most storages, the most highest HP buildings. So 3, 6, 5. Where's his other mana storage? Oh, it's up here. Okay, so definitely going to bring Santa in on the bottom right. Cupid up top, so I'm going to drop Cupid, let him get a little bit of energy. 1. Okay, fuel Santa. Okay, hit the center, but blew up a lot of Cupid's buildings, so we gotta be careful. Again. Probably should have backed out there, so we'll see. See how this goes. There you go. That was pretty close, but you know, probably around 40%. I think would have been the smart time to back out of there, because it was up in the air. Like if he got another good shot on, it would be a certain thing. But if he completely missed, it would have gone south real quick. And I think it was just those last few shots off were just enough where I dropped that Dread Drake up top, and then the rest of my team along the bottom, because they started to kind of go up for Santa. So that's one thing I'll do if I'm gonna let Santa die, I'm gonna use him as bait. So he's up at top, he's drawing out some of their heroes. Drop my team at the bottom, have them come up and pick off. I was looking at that. I think it was Vlad down there. Somebody was hanging out down there by themselves, so they can pick them off, build a little energy. Once Santa goes down, those other heroes are gonna come back, and my guys will have a little bit of energy build up, and they'll be ready to take them on. And hopefully just take out the buildings, the rest of the buildings, which is what happened. So that's always good. Right? So a lot of times you'll end up with just like one building in there, and you still got a couple of heroes, and it's like, you got to really think about how you're going to get in there, and you got to think about it quick. So that's one reason why I said I like to start standing near the base and have him work out. Because it gives you time to think about your cleanup strategy when he's walking back to the base. You say, all right, Santa's coming down there to the top. What am I going to do? So in this case, it was drop my heroes at the back. Once he hit the top, drop that Dread Drake over there with Cupid, try to knock a little bit of health off him, maybe knock out some buildings. And it ended up working. Thank goodness. Whew. All right, so cool. All right, so that was really good examples in the beginning of how to really take advantage of this strategy. Then we went over a bunch of bases that just showed what you want to avoid, base layouts, hero setups, things that will make this strategy fail. Hey, and then on this last one was really good too, because it really illustrates the point that you got to be careful. Santa can take out so much that you can easily overcommit too early, and honestly, I think I overcommitted. I was a little bit too confident that he was gonna clear out that center, which he almost did, but not quite. So had to really think on our toes there, but we got it down. All right, cool. All right, so you guys have seen how this strategy works. Number one, it's just a lot of fun. I just love seeing Santa blow everything up. It's super fun. And that's the main reason why I do it. But it is really helpful for bases where the heroes you just really couldn't go up against with your own team. So you either get to completely avoid them, or you just bring them down so much to low health that you're able to clean them up with the rest of your team. So it is a good strategy, and that allows you to take out some higher might players, some higher level heroes with your team if your team's just not quite up there yet. Just look at Santa Boom. So again, get that Santa Boom to 7 skill. Mine has a 6/8 War God, but I mean, I've been doing this with my Santa since he was 6/10 with what did he have, like a 4/8 Bulwark or something, maybe a 5/8 War God. But yeah, I've been doing this with him for a while just because it's so fun. I love doing this in raids. If I get a chance to do it in raids, I will do it. I just love seeing him blow things up. And in raids, you have nothing to lose. That's a great place to practice this strategy, because you can overcommit all you want. So the most usefulness you're going to get out of this is obviously expeditions and guild wars. Raids, it's just fun to do, but most of the time when you come across those kind of bases in raids, you're going to use Dread Drake because he's going to target the heroes, and in raids, your might and your opponent's might are matched up a lot more closer. So Dread Drake will be able to take out all the heroes. But in like guild wars, when you're facing people so high above you, or in expeditions when you get towards the end, and you come across those heroes that are just way stronger than yours, Dreadrake isn't going to be able to take all their health out. He's not going to be able to take the whole core of the base out, generally speaking. Sometimes maybe if they just leave all of their buildings just in a perfect bunch out there. Sometimes they do, and that's when Dreadrake might be able to do it. But a lot of the times you're going to need the power of Santa for those type of bases, and I just love my Santa Boom so much. I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, again, don't be afraid to back out, and you just got to get lucky. It's just statistics, really. You know, if you find the right base with the right heroes, the right path, you're going to accomplish it. Sometimes, I mean, I've sat there for like 10 minutes on one base in Guild Wars, just trying to get the perfect shots off, and eventually doing it and getting 100% and getting all those points, and it feels great. It really does. I think if you check out Guild Wars 5 and 6, we had a lot of those close calls with Santa Boom and also the Dreadrake using the same strategy. Those were a lot of fun. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this Santa Boom little guide to destruction, little demolition man here. And thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.